Welcome. In this video, I want to take just a minute to respond to what is happening in the dog training world by way of some of these dog trainers who are actually starting to kind of come together to try to come after me, label what I'm doing as abusive, even while they don't even like each other. And again, I want to scroll down here. So this is the Top Dog Canine training video Klugston just put out. Again, talk about how the anti-dog trainer video he put out, where he's talking about this guy's background. Okay, you can watch the video on that. And again, I talk about the lack of ethics in the dog training world, and just look at some of these trainers with the videos they're putting out. And again, I talk about how it is. I talk about the source of the problem. I'm very specific about specific information. And again, you see this word abuse being thrown around by these trainers who are aligned with a superficial process, all based on superficial response. It doesn't connect dots properly. It lacks depth. It doesn't put the reactions of dogs in proper context. I talk about this issue about not being able to reconcile the response of dogs by way of relationship, because these trainers are not dialed in the right way to begin with. So you're seeing all these inherent problems, to all the confusion with these trainers. They're all over the map. Again, I've been consistent from the beginning, based on asking the right questions years ago. And again, just look at the current state of the dog training world. Understand all these trainers, and we'll talk about this, scroll down here, all these trainers, that's the thing they're not talking about, even while they're marketing, pushing forward this ideology. Now, here's an interesting comment I want to highlight. This comes from Larry Krohn, of all people, the same Larry Krohn, I point this out, who refers to himself as a purely positive, balanced dog trainer. And the same thing, I say, well, what the heck is that? But again, we understand what balanced dog training represents by way of confusion, compromised. Again, I put out some videos by way of my Flipping the Script series. I would encourage you to watch them. A couple on Larry Krohn, which really kind of illustrates the confusion. One of them is, I called, exit stage left, by way of the role of influence, by way of, again, within the superficial response. And that's the video where you see Larry Krohn. The dog won't, not doing the down for him, so he exits, and it clips to him coming out with a different shirt on, right? Obviously, something went down between then and and the dog not doing a down. Then the dog does a superficial down for Krohn, and Krohn's like all happy about it, and I'm like, what the heck? Because here's the point. I talk about beyond just superficial responses. A lot of these dogs are just going through the motions, and again, the question I put out that someone like Larry Krohn can't answer is, how are these trainers establishing, okay, that the perception of dogs are changing the right way? What's the criteria they're using to do that within the framework of superficial responses, by way of motivating dogs to respond in the middle of a relationship problem? What's the criteria? How are they establishing the perception of dogs are actually changing the way they're assuming that they are, by way of diminishment of unwanted behavioral issues? What's the criteria? And what level are the perceptions changing? Well, guess what? They can't answer it. But meanwhile, okay, I'm putting out specific information. These trainers are labeling themselves as experts on both sides. Those identify as balanced and force-free. But here's the incredible thing. But they're all coming together now. And here's part of it. This is almost comical. Here's Larry Krohn on this Klugston video. He's saying he's a piece of ass. Look at the dog in every video. Straight up abuse. Well, that's again, just slander. But how's he establishing what defines abuse? You see Krohn on his Facebook page, virtue signaling all over the place by way of certain situations. And same trainer that piled into that Jeff Gelman situation, along with force-free trainers, right? And his social media content looks very much like Zach George with what he's marketing. But then here's the thing. He goes, you may not care for me much. He's referring to Klugston, okay? But I could not agree with you more. So it's like, okay, we don't even like each other, right? And I talk about this, these trainers are like throwing each other under the ideological bus all over the place. They can't even get along with each other. But let's all get together because we don't like what Dale's saying. So let's all just, we all have something in common now. Let's all just agree to, kind of just get along in the moment, and let's get this mob going, okay? So, but based on what? I mean, I'm about the only trainer out there actually talking about the real issue, and I guess this is getting in the way of their 5-year marketing plan, the way that they're marketing this trash, corrupt agenda. I talk about that, which again, it's all about exploitation, misrepresentation, working within superficial response. Dogs are getting blamed all the time, and these trainers, right, can't talk about it. Larry Krohn's jumping on about every podcast he can all over social media, but you never hear these trainers actually talk about the real problem, right? I mean, and then calling me out or calling, being derogatory. What the heck is that? Like, based on what? Like, really, think about it. Trash talk. And I'm like, um, so my response is, this is coming from, again, someone labels themselves as a purely positive, balanced doctor. Identity crisis, compromise. Who's been playing both sides of the fence from the beginning? He has, right? That's what balanced dog trainers do. Oh, you want to use treats? We use treats. Always, because what are they? Ask yourself the question: how do they jump in the relationship problem? The same as Zach George, even though and this is the problem. Balanced dog trainers are compromised. Why do you think they're losing the war on remote calls? Go watch the Jamie Penrith video I have out where he went on Good Morning Britain. It's a great illustration of the trap they're in, of the stumbling stone in terms of, again, being in agreement with this idea that's all about choices. I talk about this. And so even the role of influence, I'm very specific as the role of influence once a relationship problem is underway. Once control issues once the dog's gaining a level of control, once manifesting through a dog's state of mind, an express state, by way of intercepting that express state, okay? You never hear Krohn. Krohn's about, he's talking about rewarding bad behavior to create good behavior. Think about that. I did a video about that. There's your confusion. What rewarding bad behavior to create good behavior? I use the illustration. It's like, a selfish child having a fit and pulling a chocolate bar out and waving it to the side is like the change of focus, right? Think about it. And then, this is the way you want to think about what he's advocating, and that shift of focus, something good to work off of. But ask yourself the question: okay, you can pull the chocolate bar out as a selfish child's mouthing off, and you can use that for your framework for change. But have you fixed anything? No, you're engaged in the same things about bribery, accommodation, negotiation. That's what these trainers are doing, and they're selling it just like Zach George all over social media. And I call them out. All you can do is trash talk for a reason. Of course, you can't agree with Top Canine. Oh, that's what it is, right? They say, well, we can just come together here, and this is what they do. So, and again, I call him out too. Why can't he wrote a book on remote callers. I'm doing again extensive series on that. A very interesting back and forth conversation between himself and Ivan Bellinov. Okay, go watch this. Go watch that conversation. These trainers are losing tools while they can't even agree. While they're losing them, they can't even agree on the role of remote callers. Right? Think about that. Talk about losing the plot. But see, that's the point. Like they're aligned with a superficial process, working within the superficial framework of response that way, where it's all about choices. It's all about motivating dogs in a very superficial way as a relationship problem underway. So they're in a trap because like Zach George say, hold on a second. And just like the Jamie Penrith situation where you're going good morning, but that leading up to the moment, say, well, you're saying you're trying to say, well, for some dogs. But you're in agreement that we can get a dog to make a different choice. You use change the dog's focus, motivate the dog to make a different choice. There's the trap that they're in, and they can't respond to it. And so here, Larry Krohn's written a book, but you would think that he'd be on the front lines here, and this stuff would get pushed back if he's specific as to actually being able to reconcile the role of remote callers. We can't. Okay, understand that. That this is what these trainers are playing both sides of the fence. So they're trying to hold on to the devices. They're trying to bring influence into a superficial idea of things based on, again, I talk about the four quadrants. If I talk about how that opens the door up based on, failing to, reconcile, okay, the role of influence by way of following path of an intervention, okay, and that can only happen through a intentional interaction-based method. That's why these trainers go crazy, like Krohn, right, when he watches me interact with dogs, but I'm talking through all of it. And so he wants to label that as abuse. Well, of course he does, because these trainers are not even dialed into the relationship the right way. So they come off sounding just like Zach George for a reason. That's why they'll pile on to certain situations along with force-free trainers, because they're married to the same idea. Like once you start to understand what's going on here, so here's a guy that, is, trash talking, wants to be derogatory, no basis for anything to say that, right? Because it's like, okay, well, answer the question here. Actually respond to some of these questions. Well, he can't because he's just selling it, just playing. It's just part of the rigged game. So I want to respond to this so people understand what's going on here. But it's very interesting, right? You see these trains, okay, we'll all get together here. And I talk about this. Look at the state of the dog training world. That should be their first area of focus, right? Why are all these controversies happening? That's why I did my Flip in the Script series. Like all these bad things happening in the dog training world. You would think that they would invest their time in that. And if they really, really cared about dogs the right way, right, everything should halt. Like, let's figure this out. No. See, and this is the thing. This is the hypocrisy of it all. This is the corruption happening, right? It's rotten to the core. And these trainers are all in on it. And they're all selling because, again, it's a rigged game. Okay, so this is where we're at. So very interesting. So they're upset. Like, I'm okay, way upset. Like, answer the questions. Like, you want to, get upset. So that's what it is. They're upset because I'm talking about the real issue. They don't like it. Okay, they didn't want to shut that down. Okay, it's a joke. Thanks for watching.